This is my second time recording this review because the first time I recorded it, for some reason, none of the audio was picked up. So now I'm recording the audio on my computer and I'll just sync it in post because I don't know why my camera is doing this. Thank you, Lumix. Anyway, so I'm about to review M. Night Shyamalan's newest film, Trap. M. Night Shyamalan, for the last few years, has been in this weird lingo state of doing it in between versions of his best and worst movies because a lot of his movies I have mixed feelings on, particularly old, and I actually did like Knock at the Cabin, and I actually did like Glass, but this movie is the movie I will throw into the mixed feelings pile because there's a lot of stuff in Trap that really works well, and there's a lot of stuff in Trap that just did not work for me at all. And a lot of the M. Night Shyamalan defenders are fiercely defending this, and I get that, and I'm not going to say my opinion's right because M. Night Shyamalan, I don't think there is such thing as a right opinion about one of his movies because when you just look at any of them, except for like the universally like praised amazing ones or like the universally appraised horrible ones, I would say a lot of his movies, like the majority of his movies, are in this weird lingo of people who love it, people who hate it, people who think it's okay. And most of the time, I just kind of, with M. Night Shyamalan, I usually agree with the general consensus on whatever the movie is. But this one is fascinating because there really isn't a general consensus. I've seen people that I know love this movie, see people that hate this movie, and I'm smack dab in the middle. There's a lot of things I really liked. Let's get that out of the way. Josh Hartnett, him playing a psycho guy, fun. He had so much fun with it, and his performance was actually really good. So, same to say with the entire cast. The acting here was really solid, particularly whoever plays the daughter. And actually, M. Night Shyamalan's daughter herself is in this movie playing the singer, and she's surprisingly good in the movie. I really thought, oh god, M. Night Shyamalan inserting his daughter into a movie where this is going to be horrible. She actually did a pretty competent job. Like, nothing particularly amazing, but knowing it's Shyamalan's daughter, I actually was impressed a few times with some of her performances, even though she spends most of the movie on stage. The third act is where this movie gets different and where the biggest divisive talking point is, and so it's hard to talk about without spoiling, and it's something I want to say, but I'm not going to spoil it, obviously, but I will say, for me, it kind of worked. I mean, I was really scratching my head at the logic of it, but it was fun, and that's honestly my consensus of this movie. I was scratching my head a lot, and I'm not someone who's like dying for logic in a movie. In fact, I think I've in my reviews said like, who cares, honestly, because like a good example for people who are complaining about the logic of Wonder Woman 1984, movie I defend, and I'm like, who cares? It's superhero stuff. MacGuffins are gonna be there. Let's talk about the heart of the film, and that's what I enjoyed about Wonder Woman 1984. But this movie is interesting because the logic here is not because it's not, oh, magic sorcery that we can just kind of make no sense and get through it with mumbo jumbo. Here is a little bit, it's trying to be an intense thriller. And the whole thing where it's a different circumstance for me, at least, is the whole thing is the movie's trying to be effective, is trying to get me thrilled and amped up. And for me to get amped up in these type of thrills that Shyamalan wants to have a certain effect on you that way, it doesn't work with me because the logic isn't behind it. Yes, I can get behind silly comic book stuff because it's silly comic book stuff and I can feel more things there. But when we're going off video game logic in Shyamalan's films, it's hard for me to connect with it when it comes to being thrilled or really feeling a lot. Except for I did have fun with what they were trying to do with it. And a lot of people are saying, well, Shyamalan meant to do that. And I 100% agree. Yes, he 1000% intended to make this movie exactly the way it is. And I get that. It didn't work for me within its final 30 or so minutes. And it goes for it. And I did appreciate a lot of the concepts there. There's a lot of themes that you can see affected this movie, particularly with Shyamalan, the dynamic with his daughter. You can almost see that interlayered with the film. Does he know what he's trying to say? I don't know, but it's there and it's something for you to think about. There's a lot of cool stuff like that in the movie, a lot of cool individual scenes where I'm like, that's a cool idea, that was fun. Josh Hartnett's having a great time. Enough for me to enjoy the movie. I wasn't like sitting back going, being a cynical old man going like, this doesn't make sense because this person has a phone, and so how didn't they tell this person, like things like that. I'm not sitting there, but I'm not gonna lie and say it wasn't in the back of my head. It's a lot of moments in this movie because it happened a lot, and I try to ignore it because of the fact I know it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. But when it started interfering with how I was getting thrilled with some of the scenes is where it became an issue for me. If I was thrilled consistently throughout this entire movie, I really wouldn't care. But since it got in the way of some of my thrills and experience with this film, is where I have an issue with it. I'll say this movie is also shot pretty well. I thought this movie had a lot of cool stuff. You can do a lot of cool stuff at a concert with stage lighting. All that's really expensive. And so, of course, Shyamalan infuses the atmosphere of a concert into this movie, and he does a very good job at it. It's entertaining in that factor. I will say, don't expect a huge Shyamalan twist. I mean, most of the big shocking reveals are in the trailer, except for like maybe a few that are saved for the end, but none of it is like Shyamalan classic twist. Oh my god, I couldn't see that coming. And most of it is just kind of like, yeah. So I wouldn't say expect a huge Shyamalan twist at the end, and I know that's what he's known for, but unfortunately, it's not really something that we got here. But I wasn't necessarily looking for it based off the trailer. I almost didn't expect it, and I wish that they found a different way to cut these trailers to where we almost didn't know the big thing about Josh Hartnett's character, where we just thought it was a dad at a concert and something was going wrong. If we just knew that and then we watched the movie, then we're like, oh, it's really about this, because I really think there was an easy way to cut this trailer and make it seem something that it was not. At the same time, that other version of the movie that I'm saying out loud might not get people in the theaters. It almost feels like the plot twist in this one is just like integral to the premise and you need to show it. Overall, I thought this movie was okay. I had an okay experience with it. I was mildly entertained throughout. I was never really bored. I was scratching my head a lot, but at the end of the day, I had a decent time watching it. Is it better than Shyamalan's recent film, Knock at the Cabin? No. Is it better than Old? I actually think so. And is it better than Glass? I don't think so, but I also really like Glass. I wish that movie got better reviews. But anyways, I'm going to give Trap a 6.3 out of 10. Comment down below what you guys thought of Trap. Make sure to subscribe and stuff like that, and adios.